welcome to the Free Kick Podcast. My name is Todd. Well, we can finally get to what I talked about last episode, where the next two games and the two games after that are going to deal with the 2020 MLS season for the Union and then the 2020 MLS is Back season for the Union. And so we're going to go ahead and kick things off with the 2020 MLS is Back season. Ask these guys a little bit of questions about that tournament. The tournament took place, I believe, from June all the way to August, I think it was. And, I think I said last episode. If I didn't, joining me to start this off for the quarterfinals is Mr. Cory Furlan and Luke McClung from the Doopy Brothers podcast. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great.
I'm doing wonderful, man. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, you earned it, Cory. You earned it with your performance. You broke the show. You might break it again. We'll see, right?
I don't know about that. I'm better. I'm telling you, I'm better with like the older teams. Like I do. I mean, obviously last year was a different story because it was so recent, but like the older teams, like it's weird. I have like this weird memory that just remembers dumb stuff.
Yeah, you did say that last episode. So we will definitely see how you guys do for the 2020 MLS is Back season for the Union. And for everybody else that's listening that's still in the competition, you guys, it should be easy for you, just look out what happened for 2020 or just look at what happened in MLS is Back. But, before we get into the first category, which is 5 and 25, Jim Curtin had his press conference today on Tuesday. This episode, when you guys are listening, it's either going to be a Wednesday or a Thursday, I feel like. And, of course, Jim Curtin gave a whole bunch of updates on player injuries, Jose Martinez, and other players. So let's go ahead and listen real quick and hear what Jim Curtin has to say about Jose Martinez's injury that he suffered on Saturday against Chicago Fire.
Jose, we just got the MRI back. There's no fracture or break in the ankle area, which is the positive news. When it happened live, as a coach, you expect and fear the worst. From my vantage point, I had the concern when it first happened. I thought maybe the Achilles was involved. Fortunately for us, it looks like it will be about a 1 to 2 week recovery for Jose. Obviously timeline-wise is the next thing you guys are going to start to piece together. The reality is, Jose's worked back from the knee injury. He's only managed to play 30 minutes, in our first preseason game against Orlando. Only about 15 versus Chicago, and now a little bit of a setback here where it'll be 1 to 2 weeks where he'll be out. So it'll be very tight for that Saprissa match. Obviously, we're a better team when Jose's on the field, but we also have to have in place now a plan if he is going to be absent for that game.
All right, so we just heard Jim Curtin's just update on Jose Martinez, and he seemed pretty optimistic that, his worst fears didn't come true, which is good because I think a lot of us Union fans were worried that, Jose could be out for a very long time with that injury. You never like to see a player go off as early as he did and then couldn't even leave the field on his own power. And Jim comes out and says he's out only for 1 to 2 weeks. So that's great news for Union fans. Luke, just what are your thoughts hearing that?
Yeah, no, that's definitely good to hear. He looked like he was in a lot of pain. So that was like my biggest takeaway from that preseason match. So yeah, good to hear that it's a minor injury and hopefully he's, doesn't miss too much time. I don't know about this TCL matchup at least in the first leg, but it could be worse. So at least he'll be back sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will definitely get to the rumors for the Union looking at potential number 6 replacements. I think it's going to be confirmed, and you guys should be able to hear that in the next clips that I play later on in this episode. But Jim also talked about other injuries that I think caught some people by surprise. So let's go ahead and also listen to that clip.
Kacper will miss the game tomorrow due to back spasms. Cory Burke will remain out. Kacper will be day-to-day. Cory Burke still has a groin injury, has not trained with us at all yet, unfortunately. Sergio Santos is still 3 to 4 weeks away. Jose, we mentioned, Ilsinho will miss due to a calf. That'll be a couple weeks as well. So a little bit thin, especially in the attacking part of the field. We'll have to juggle the formation a little bit. And in some ways, the plans are shifting and changing every day. But at the end of the day, the focus is to get the best result out of that first leg against Saprissa.
Well, I mean, the result the focus should definitely be on Saprissa. But yeah, I think the one thing that caught all of us by surprise that were at the press conference is nobody knew that Kacper was hurt. We knew last week that Jim Curtin said Cory Burke had a little bit of a knock and injury, and he was keeping him out against Chicago for precautionary reasons. He said he might play, didn't play at all. And then you hear Ilsinho picks up an injury, a calf injury. Nobody knew about that. And obviously, like we just talked about, Jose Martinez and Sergio Santos is still 3 to 4 weeks out with that toe injury. So can either one of you guys play striker? Because the Union need you.
I'm in, dude. I'm ready to rock and roll. My one goal in River Cup history. That's it. That's about. I've scored a goal at I should say at Subaru Stadium now. At this point, it's crazy. All the names. It's always PPL to me, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think a lot of fans feel that way too. So, Cory, since you have experience scoring in that stadium, I hope you have your boots ready.
Nah, man. Like, listen, maybe 15 years ago, but like now, I'm almost 40 years old, man. I can't run for more than 15 minutes without feeling like I'm gonna die.
Luke. Any experience?
Yeah, I about as much attacking skill as Ray Gaddis, so I don't know if I'm enough either.
Oh boy.
Oh man, but yeah, I mean that was definitely disappointing to hear Jim say that basically every single striker is out, and now they're gonna have to tinker with the formation. I mean, I don't know what the Union do now up top. It looks like we could potentially have new strikers coming off the bench for us against Saprissa. Hopefully, Cory Burke and Kacper are ready. Sergio Santos definitely isn't going to be ready, and I don't know. I mean, getting good news that we got about Jose Martinez only being out for 1 to 2 weeks, that was great. I'm glad Jim opened with that. And then he's like, yeah, let's go ahead and drop the bad news for you guys right afterwards.
I wouldn't be surprised if they put Fontana up top. I think the way he played last year, he was like that injection of energy. And I was actually having a conversation about him today specifically. Like, you know who he kind of reminds me of is Roland Alberg. Is like the guy that's the number 10 that is like more of like a goal scoring number 10 than like a playmaking creative number 10. So like I could see that. Like again, Jack DeVries, they're talking about him being, whatever, but like, I mean, is this kid ready to like be dumped into, Saprissa away in the Champions League, whatever quarterfinals? I mean, you guess we might have to find out. But like, I wouldn't be surprised if they do something like that, and then like shift the formation and maybe play like I think he said he's going to play Elliott at the 6 and put Bedoya at like the 6 and the 8, kind of holding, and play Montero in front of them with like maybe 2 wingers of some sort. Like so, like you know what I mean, like something kind of different like that to kind of because again they can only deal with what they have. Like I mean, it would be great to see if Stuart Finley was here. You could maybe go 3 at the back, play 3-5-2, and like figure something out that way. But like, I wouldn't be surprised if you see Fontana play like almost like that number 9 kind of, almost like a Bobby Firmino kind of role, where you're not really sure if he's like a striker or if he's like the guy that's like in between, the midfield and up top, the kind of connector, and literally he can poach and score goals.
Yeah, absolutely, Luke.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely all about Fontana playing more of the field. I'm curious what he does further back in midfield with. I mean, if Elliott is the 6th, then who are the 2 center backs? Like, I mean, I'm all about just like making this a really defensive lineup and just like getting a clean sheet down in Saprissa. But I don't know like who's going to be in that lineup that just to fill that up if Martinez is out. Like it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Jim did allude later on in the press conference that a lot of young guys are potentially going to be playing. They're going to have to step up. And he said, yeah, what a game for them to play down in Costa Rica for the first professional game. So that kind of makes me think, is he going to pair Cole Turner as a center back maybe with Jacob Glesnes? Is he going to put Brandon Craig? We know both of those guys can play as a 6. They can also play as a center back. I know Matai Odvats has also been playing as a center back in preseason, but yeah, Jim, again, today in his press conference didn't seem too high. He like gave a 2-second answer on Odvat, said, yeah, he's playing good, and then that was it. Went to the next question. So, yeah, for everybody that wants to see him, I don't know. Listen to Jim talk, give his short answers. I don't think we're going to be seeing Matai anytime soon. But, he could surprise us. Like you guys said, those options on the bench are very, very thin, and you're going to have to make the most of what you have. But let's go ahead and go into the first category, which is 5 and 25. So if this is your first time listening to the podcast, 5 and 25 is where I will ask the questions. I will ask the contestants 5 questions in 25 seconds. Each question The clock will start after I read the first question. If a contestant doesn't know the answer, they can say skip. And we can go back to the question if the time permits. Each question will be worth 2 points each. And Cory, since you did so well last episode, we're going to start with you first. So is that okay?
Sure, whatever. Let's do it.
Here we go. And like I told you guys, your questions for 5 and 25 and true and false are going to deal with nothing but MLS's back for the Philadelphia Union. So the ticker starts after I read your first question. And the first question for you, Cory, is who scored the first goal for the Union in MLS's back?
Alejandro Bedoya.
Who led the Union in assists in MLS's back?
Brendan Aronson.
Who led the Union in offsides?
Sergio Santos.
Who scored the first ever Union goal against Inter Miami?
Kai Wagner.
How many goals did the Union score in the group stage?
1, 2. Wait. 1, 2.
And the timer just went off too. I know you're trying
3.
to think. So you went off. I mean, that's very, very close memory. It was 4, which, you said, Cory, that, this newer stuff, I don't know how well I'll do. Well, you just went, you got 6 points though, so you went 3 for 5, and it's unfortunate that the timing went off. But the first question I asked, who scored the first goal for the Union in MLS's back? That would indeed be Ali Bedoya. Who led the Union in assists in MLS's back? Of course, Brendan Aronson. Who else? After that, it was who led the Union in offsides. That would be Kacper Przybylko, who led all MLS players with 7, which is so crazy. Like, he's not our fastest striker at all on the field, and to see Kacper not only lead the Union in offsides, but lead every single player in MLS down in that tournament in offsides. Yeah, I was a little bit surprised by that. He scored their first ever Union goal against Inter Miami. You were right. That is Kai Wagner. Great goal, by the way, against Inter Miami.
It was a seed.
It was indeed. And then the last one, like I just said, how many goals did the Union score in the group stage? You said 3, the timer went off, and the answer to that would be 4. So, but again, Cory, not bad at all. 6 points, and always, if you want to have success in this one, you've gotta start fast, and you did. So now the pressure is again right on you, Luke, and hopefully you can pick up some points right here.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, Luke, and so the timer will start after I read the first question for you. And the first question for you, Luke, is who was the Union's first opponent in MLS's back?
NYC.
Who led the Union in goals in MLS's back?
Santos.
Who led the Union in yellow cards?
Bedoya.
How many points did the Union collect in the group stage?
4.
And who scored the only goal against Portland?
Wooten.
And wow, and you got it right at the buzzer. So not bad at all right there. You were right. Who scored the last goal against Portland? That would be Andrew Wooten. If you guys remember that game, Kacper was called offsides, and right after Andrew Wooten scored, Kacper went down, scored. They said it was offsides. I don't know. I feel like we were hard done. Maybe we weren't. But it's all good, right?
You don't miss your penalty kick earlier in that game. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And hopefully we have penalties figured out this season going forward, because I feel like we missed a couple penalties, including Sergio Santos and Jamiro Montero. I feel like they both missed penalties last year. Maybe that will be a question going forward for everybody else in the competition. Just keep your mind ready. But I asked after that, how many points did the Union collect in the group stages? The answer to that one would be 7. It's like, try to put that together. Who led the Union in yellow card? You said Ali Bedoya. That would be Jose Martinez with 3. And that's when we were all like, man, this guy, like, we love this guy, but he's picking up way too many yellow cards. I think he picked up a yellow card against New York City, like, I don't know, within like the first 10, 15 minutes, it seemed like. Second question I asked, though, was who led the Union in goals in MLS's back? You're right, it is indeed Sergio Santos with 3. And the first question I asked, who was the Union's first opponent in MLS's back in? That is New York City FC, which means, Luke, you went 3 for 5 as well. That's 6 points for you. So you guys are tied up, and that's what I love to see. Like, nobody's blown away with it, so...
I'll take it.
Cory put the pressure on you. Like, yeah, I'll answer right back and get 3 of them right myself. So let's go ahead and stick with you, Luke, for true/false. And again, if you guys are new to this, it's self-explanatory. It's true/false. These guys aren't timed, and the questions will be worth 1 point each. And Luke, your first question is true or false. Kacper was in the top 5 of most shots taken in MLS's back.
True.
That would be false. He had 15 shots down in MLS's back, and that would have put him at number 8 down in the whole tournament.
Wow.
Question number 2, true or false? Kacper was in the top 5 for shots on goal.
False.
So that's the one that's true. He was number 4 on that list. So 7 of his 15 shots were on target, and he only had 1 goal down in the tournament. And yeah, we all know Kacper wasn't at his best goal scoring wise last season, and maybe because, as we remember, he was the player that tested positive and for COVID. But he played, I think, pretty much every single minute of the season. I have to go back. Maybe that should be another question for you guys left in the competition. Again, just keep your mind on that. But question number 3, true or false? Andre Blake led all goalies with 32 saves.
True.
Yep, that is indeed true. Nobody else was close to that. Andre Blake was a brick wall down in Orlando. Question number 4, true or false? Andre Blake was only scored on 5 times.
True.
Yeah, it is. You didn't see too confident, but it was 5
I
times.
couldn't add him up, but that he sounded like sounded right.
It sounded like it would be true. Yeah, it was. He got scored on by Orlando, by Inter Miami, Sporting Kansas City, and Portland scored against him twice, unfortunately. And your last one, Luke, for true or false, is the Union used 4 different starting lineups, and MLS is back.
True.
That would be false. So it was one off. They used 3 different starting lineups down there.
Okay.
They started in New York City with Ilsinho as a striker with Kacper. I believe Warren Cavall played one time in the game, and then Jacob Glesnes paired with Mark McKenzie, I think, at one time in the center back. So those were the 3 different lineups. Other than that, everything was pretty much the same. So not bad at all, Luke. You added 2 more points to your total. You went 2 for 5, so now you have 8 points. But now, Cory, let's see if you can go ahead and add to your point tally. And your first question is, true or false? The Union won their group in MLS's back.
False.
You're right. That is false. They finished second to Orlando City. Both teams were tied on points, but Orlando had a better goal differential than the Union. I believe they scored 6 goals, conceded 3, and I think it worked out probably better for us, even though Orlando went to the final. But we had a pretty easy path, I thought, as well to the final. But question number 2 for you is, true or false? Sergio Santos was first in game-winning goals.
False.
That would be true. He was tied with Sebastian Blanco of Portland with 2. So 2 out of
I thought
Sergio's
it would
3.
be more than 2.
So did I when I looked at this, and when I went on MLS's website, it said, him and Sebastian only had 2 game-winning goals. So, yeah, definitely surprised by that. But here we go. Question number 3. True or false? Brendan Aronson scored 1 goal in MLS's back.
False.
Yeah, you're right. It is false. He had no goals down there. He had some assists, no goals.
Mm-hmm.
Question number 4, though. True or false? Andre Blake led all goalies in minutes played.
False.
Yeah, it is false, and I think you know why. Because the Union didn't go to the final. So Steve Clark of Portland and Pedro Gallis of Orlando City, both of those guys had more minutes played because they were in the final. And the last question for you, Cory, is true or false? The Union used 3 different striker pairings in MLS's back.
Let me just think through this for 1 second. Ilsinho played up top for 1. Santos, Kacper. You're talking starting lineups, correct?
Yep, starting.
False.
That is false. So that means you went 4 for
Don't
5,
tell
so
my
you
wife.
got 10
She doesn't
points.
believe me.
You're like, hey, I know the Union. You're right. So you went 4 for 5 on there, which gives you 10 points, and you have a 2-point lead over Luke. But before we get into the last category, which is name the Union player, let's go ahead and listen to this last bit of information that Jim Curtin was talking about. Potential new signing, Leon Flach from St. Pauli over in Germany. Let's go hear what Jim has to say about this.
If you have an American passport, it's quick. I'll just say that. So that is the one good thing. And again, I know the reports you're referring to. Look, we're always trying to upgrade our group. Can't really comment until, things are finalized, but I think there will be, some people coming in to help us. You guys mentioned Stuart Finley and getting him acclimated and back in the group, and the possibility of others coming in as well to help improve and deepen the team.
Okay, so we already know Stuart Finley, and it looks all but certain that Leon Flach is coming in. It's reported for $300,000, which is a great bit of business for the Union. But Jim Curtin did say others too. So if we already know Leon Flach, who are the Union looking at next? And it was funny too. Jonathan Tannenwald's one who asked him that question, and he asked it like he didn't come out and say Leon Flach. He's like, if you were to bring in another player, is it easier for them to if they had an American passport? And so Jim chuckles at the beginning of it. And he's like, "Yeah, I know the player you guys are talking about," and he's not going to say, "Yeah, we're signing Leon Flach because he's another team's player," but all these newspapers over in Germany are reporting it. Jim's basically confirming it. And Leon Flach, if you guys aren't familiar with him, which I'm sure all of us are so familiar with him, we've all been St. Pauli fans since the day we signed Fafa Pico from them, right? So this guy plays as a number 6 and plays a left back. I think he made one appearance as a right back, but I was looking, he's played most of his career as a center midfielder, so he's very, very versatile. And I know everybody was speculating, okay, well, if we're getting in another number 6, that means Jose Martinez is very, very hurt. Well, Jim came out, obviously said 1 to 2 weeks, but you can't have enough depth on this team, and especially an American player. I think Ernst Tanner's probably like, God, like, it's taken forever for Stuart Finley. This is the worst kept secret ever that the Union was signing him, and he can't even get out of Poland, Jim Curtin said he was in, to get his ankle looked at because he had an injury, I believe, in January, Jim said. And he went to Poland to see a specialist, and, well, now he can't leave Poland. And so who knows when he's going to come back into America. But Leon Flach, 20-year-old from Texas. Guys, this make you guys happy? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it sounds like a pretty solid signing. I mean, we definitely could use some depth in anywhere, basically, and getting him either behind Martinez or just filling in throughout the season. I think he could be a pretty nice weapon to have in a couple of different spots. So I'm happy with it. I mean, it's not. I know it wasn't like the 10 or the striker that like everyone's clamoring for, but it's definitely seems like a pretty solid pickup.
Absolutely, Cory.
No, I agree with you 100%. Like, listen, I'm one of those people that like the more depth you can have, the better. I think when Stuart Finley is here, you'll have your rotational 3 center backs that you'll see a combination of them all summer, which is great. I think, the whole Jose Martinez thing, that to me, I literally was watching the stream Saturday and I turned the game off as soon as he got hurt because like, if he's not able to go, like, I personally feel that they're in big trouble. He is like, instantly last year after watching him, and we just were joking about the yellow cards that he took in the beginning, and I was like, this guy's an absolute wild man. However, like, he kind of toned that back, and like, he is the like complete antithesis of anybody we've ever had at the 6 before. Like, you had Harris Medunian playing the 6, and like, that man, as world class as his left foot is, couldn't put a tackle in on a paper bag. Like, he just couldn't do it. And like, for me, with the style that they want to play, to have that 6 be an absolute hammer. You know what I mean? Like, he's an absolute stud. I still think that there's more coming. I don't think, I believe firmly that this is no direct reflection on the Union, the front office, and what's been going on. I think it's a reflection of how difficult it might be to get people to come play in the States right now, given the climate of everything. Obviously, you're seeing other clubs make signings and do this and do that, but like, I still think that that's a really difficult nut to crack right now. And I think the reinforcements are coming. I think that the club knows they need help. I love Fontana, but I don't know if I believe in him as an everyday 10 at this point. I love him as like the guy off the bench, like the guy that comes in for like almost like Ilsinho Jr. Like, not to say that he's as skilled as him, but he like can change a game and he has an impact on a game. And I got into a spat today. Like, it's like he kind of like a hybrid between like the Antoine Hopino high energy, like, like marginally disrupting kind of player that gets in there and just kind of throws things sideways, or, and having like a guy who's like Ilsinho, who's just got a world-class touch and everything he does is just incredible, but he's also 35. He's almost my age. Like, that's not going to get it done for too much longer. So I think that there's more coming. I don't know this. I don't have any information to say that this is fact. However, I would be willing to bet that there is, and they've always brought people in late. If you've ever looked at how they've done business, it's always like the last week of preseason, like a week before the game, the person's not really available for the first to the home opener. It's always like this, like, kind of thing. And I just hope that they can go down to Saprissa and at least, I'm not necessarily win the match, but like come home and have an opportunity to play a meaningful game here. I don't want them to lose 3-0 in Costa Rica. And I don't think they will, to be honest, because I think they are, got a huge piece of luck. If they had to go play in that place full of people, crazy, rabid nuts, like it's going to be an empty building. Like that's a whole different world to play in. I think they would be in a lot of trouble going down there with a bunch of kids. However, they're going to play in an empty stadium. And as you can see, as in the world game, a lot of teams that shouldn't be winning are going into places like Anfield and going into places like Old Trafford and winning games. And again, I'm not saying they're going to win, but I just want them to go down there. Like you said, maybe park the bus, maybe pack it in, try to play for like a draw or maybe nick an away goal. And like, hey, then we're on. But I think that there's more coming. It's just a matter of time. And like I told people before, I'm going to wait to make judgment until I see what the final product looks like. And right now we don't know what that is. So, we might have to kind of bite the bullet and deal with it for a little bit. And it's unfortunate that like we're starting our first trip into CCL, like in this kind of predicament. However, it is what it is. And like, maybe we go down there and we do our thing and go from there. Like, I'd rather play Saprissa than like Club America or anybody in Mexico City or anything like that. Like, let's go and let's do it, especially with no fans.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, what better way to just add to the Union's history than to go down with a team full of injured players in your first appearance in CCL? And here's the other thing too, right? Like all these fans, like, yeah, I want new signings too, but here's the thing. We just saw that Colorado Rapids just received $225,000 in GAM from Atlanta United for an international roster spot. The Union are won over whenever Stuart Finley gets here, so they've got to find a way how to clear that spot. Will players get green cards? We would hope, but I don't know. I mean, seeing how long it's taken for Stuart Finley to get here, I mean, it seems like the process is taking forever. So, look, it's great that Ernst found an American player over in the second Bundesliga. Now he doesn't have to take a green card and doesn't have to take an international spot. Good to go there. And so how many other Americans can Ernst Tanner find that are going to be DP signings that people want that are going to say, yeah, I'm willing to come over to America? There can't be many. So, yeah, people just need to relax. I feel like even though it sucks, yeah, we have a ton of money. We get that. But look, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, look, you sign another player that's going to require an international spot. How do we know that they're not here until May or June? And then basically when the transfer window opens back up, that's when we can do business again. So it's like just continue to trust Ernst and everything, and we'll find a way to get through this. But hopefully I don't have you guys just too off your game right now. So let's go ahead and get to the final round, which is name the Union player. So in the final category, contestants will go head-to-head against each other and guessing the Union player I'm describing. I'll give 5 clues, and contestants can buzz in. Whenever they think they know the player, contestants will buzz in by saying their own name. If a contestant answers wrong, that will freeze them out until the next question. Each question will be worth 3 points each, except for clue 5, which is when I give you the player's first name. That will give you 1 point instead of 3. Remember, guys, the first 2 categories dealt with MLS's back. This one has nothing to do with MLS's back, just players that were on their roster in 2020. So let's go ahead. You guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Here we go. Player number 1. Hint number 1, played 1 game in 2020. Hint number 2, from Wayne, Pennsylvania.
Luke.
Good, Luke.
Matt Freeze.
Yeah, it is Matt Freeze, and I think
if
Adam Booth's listened to that, he would have been like, "Oh, I got it right there on the spot." The pride of Wayne, Pennsylvania. Hint number 3 was recently called up to the U.S. U23s. Hint number 4 is a goalie. First name Matthew. Matt Freeze is that player, so that gives you those 3 points right there, Luke. And you are ahead by 1 point right now, 11-10. Here we go. Player number 2. Hint number 1. Jersey number 24. Hint number 2, scored a goal against Inter Miami in preseason.
Cory.
Good, Cory.
Oh my God. It's not him. Is it Orovich?
Yeah, it is. It is.
God.
I was going to say, I'll give you 5 more seconds, and then you have to give me a player. So, yeah, it is indeed Orovich. Hint number 3 was played with Slovakia's youth national team. Hint number 4, nickname Sexy Season. And first name Matai Orovich is the player, so that puts Cory up by 1 point. Here we go, guys. Player number 3, hint number 1, has made 1 appearance for the United States men's national team. Hint number 2, scored 0 goals for the Union. Hint number 3, joined in the summer of 2019. Hint number
Cory.
Go ahead, Cory.
I remember the U.S. national team you said he played 1 game for the Union last year, and he scored no goals, right?
He played one game for the national team and scored no
For the
goals.
men's national team, sorry, and he scored no goals for the Union.
I'll give you 7 seconds.
That's fine. Andrew Luton.
It is indeed Andrew Wooten. Hint number 4 was jersey number 7, and first name Andrew. Andrew Wooten is the player. And I'm not going to spend any more time talking about Andrew Wooten. So let's go ahead and talk about player number 4. Hint number 1 was born in Englewood, New Jersey. Hint number 2 scored his first Union goal against Toronto FC. Hint number 3 played college soccer at Boston College.
Luke.
Go ahead, Luke.
Cory. Oh.
Ali Bedoya.
It is indeed Ali Bedoya right there. The other hints for that were hint number 4 played for FC Nantes in France, and first name Alejandro. Ali Bedoya is the player. So guys, it comes down, like it has so many times in this competition, to player number 5. And I will give you guys a score update right now. It is Luke with a score of 14 and Cory with a score of 16. Remember, guys, hint number 5 gives you guys just 1 point, and hints 1 through 4 give you 3. So, Luke, just keep that in mind. So, here we go, guys. Player number 5, hint number 1, made his debut in 2018 with the Union. Hint number 2, jersey number 2.
Cory.
Go ahead, Cory.
Warren Creavalle.
It is not Warren Creavalle. Hint number 3.
Luke.
Go ahead, Luke.
Matt Real.
It is Matt Real. And see, I'm so happy I added that hint right there because he just changed his number this season to number 2. So I was like, who's going to buzz on this? And that is right. Matt Real changed.
Damn it.
Cory's like, man, I want this. Like, I'm hitting on all these other ones. And yeah, and so if you guys want the other hints for that, here we go. Hint number 3 was scored his first Union goal against New York Red Bulls in 2020. Hint number 4 from Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania. Hint number 5, first name Matthew. Matt Real is the player. And yeah, I mean.
Congrats, dude.
Thank you. That
was a trick question.
It was.
Question.
It was. And I was thinking, one of you guys are going to think, if I say jersey number 2 as the first hint, I feel like one of you guys are going to think Warren Creavalle might say it right away. I was like, let me put this as number 2 and see if somebody bites. And yeah, Cory definitely bit on that one, unfortunately. But Luke, you were the winner going on to the semifinals with 17 points. Cory had 16, and I mean, this was a close game. Like I said, it always comes out to that 5th question. Both of you guys flew through this whole game. And Luke, just congratulations for not biting on that last question.
Yeah, I found a way to squeak by again. But yeah, well, good game, Cory. That was tough.
You as well, bud.
Were you tempted to bite on that second hint?
A little bit. Like I saw the Matt Real number on social media recently, so like he actually jumped to mind first. But I wasn't sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, Cory, I mean, still, I mean, very, very impressive. Your first time ever in this competition, and you'll go down as obviously the highest scorer in your first game, and then your second game, that again is going to go down as one of the highest scoring games. So, I mean, to go off, I mean, that's something to leave off on a high that nobody will probably ever come close to 25 out of 30 points. So,
listen, I did what I did. I tried my damnedest, and you know what? Unfortunately, I got duped into a number switch that I forgot and I missed. And that's really it. That's so brutal. And then also the other 2 questions for the player, I was literally like, and like you just were quicker. So congrats, man. That's good stuff.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And so before I let you guys go, Luke, I guess I'll start with you. Where can people find the Doopy Brothers and just find your social media?
Yeah, we're just on Twitter. It's just @Doopy Brothers, and then our podcast. You can find it wherever you get podcasts. Usually search under Brother the Game. You'll find us.
Absolutely. And Cory?
That's good, dude. You'll find me. I'm on all the social medias as @SOB_Cory. I'm around doing my thing, and hopefully you don't yell at me for making fun of somebody that wore a St. Pauli jersey, because that was the most absurd thing of all time.
I thought about bringing this up on the podcast, and I was like, I don't know if I should bring this up.
That's cool, dude. I could care less. I literally was making a lighthearted joke, and somebody took it into like a whole realm of like something ridiculous, and then told me to meet them at the stadium. I was like, cool, man. Like, I don't even know who you are. You're hiding behind some fake moniker. Like, I'm Cory, dude. Like, come talk to me if you want to talk to me. Like, he literally, tried to turn it into some political thing, and I was like, no, man, like you got the wrong guy. Like I'm not even in that mess.
I'll be over in 140 with my shirt off, screaming on the top of my lungs. That's where you find me.
You come find me. That's it, dude.
Yeah, man. I mean, I guess people just don't have anything better to complain about. But if you guys aren't following the podcast on social media, follow on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Free Kick Pod. Check out the website, thefreekickpodcast.com. Wherever you get your podcasts, The Free Kick, Todd Lewis. And Cory, looking forward to seeing what you and KSU do this upcoming season. Hopefully we can pack the stadium, get close to full capacity at some point in the season. But I know you guys are going to bring it this season like you always do. And hopefully I can get you on later on in the season, just talk about a Union game, hopefully after some good news.
Yeah, man. You let me know. I'm all about it. And like, I love everything about the club from, top to bottom, including every single person that walks in the building that wears the shirt, that reps the badge. Like, that's what it's about. And like, anytime I can talk about that, the more it lights me up like a Christmas tree. So that's all I can talk about,
And I also should have said this in the beginning of the podcast, but, better late than never. I was recently on a podcast called Stoppage Time Soccer Show. They are going into year 2 for the podcast, but Jordan Wigan, who's the host over there on that podcast, he's been on this podcast a couple times. Well, he kind of redid the whole show, brought in his new co-host, Logan Stump, and they brought me on the podcast recently to talk all things Philadelphia Union, to preview the 2021 season. I will leave a description in that box for you guys to go listen. I think it was a great episode. Jordan and Logan asked a lot of great questions, and I think it was a lot of great Philadelphia Union talk that we talked about. And I put up some numbers for Sergio Santos, comparing him to Diego Rossi, some things that I've never talked about on this podcast before. So I think that's just some stats you guys should hear, because the stats that I found that I dove into, I think you would be surprised what I talk about on that podcast. So go ahead and check it out at Stoppage Time Soccer Show to hear all things Philadelphia Union for the 2021 season. Again, I'll leave all the information in the show notes. But until then, my name is Todd, and this is the Free Kick Podcast.